started translating from English, Chinese to English, and I thought I could do something for Ben Jilin, whose poetry I've been studying for quite some time, and I did a book on him. And then, but all through his life, he had a wish that his poems should be well translated into English. And before I didn't have the chance to do that. And after I came back to Hong Kong from Canada in 2000, on some occasion I accidentally started translating from Chinese to English, and it was quite well received. So I thought I could do that. And I talked to Eva Home about it and asked her to recommend a collaborator for me. And she said she'll keep this in mind. And then after some months, she introduced David Lundy, and she said, she asked me to try translating two lyrics, classical lyrics with him, first to try out. And then after that, we find that we could collaborate quite well, and then that's how we started our co-translation work.
And how is the process when David cannot read Chinese and I think you're bilingual, right? English and Chinese, and then how the process of translation between the two?
You like to say that?
Well, the process is basically Mary translates the Chinese into English and sends that to me, but she would give me a word-for-word translation and then a rough English translation of it. And then I work on that and try to make it, bring out the poet quality. First, the hard part of the process is trying to understand the poem and the tone of it, as you were talking about, and the attitude, everything about it. You have to try and at least guess at that. Sometimes it's very difficult. But then I would shape it and send it to Mary, and she would critique it and send it back, and we would just go back and forth until we were both satisfied with it.
You can see the poem we have copied here. We only give you two versions, but actually when we corresponded with each other through email, we have quite a number of versions, Sometimes, like the first poem, the last two, the 4 lines, the third and fourth line came out all right from the first try. And even in the rough translation, it was the same. But the first 2 lines, we changed quite a number of times. So there are different problems in different poems. Sometimes, even for one word, we have to keep going and discussing until we reach something that we are somewhat satisfied. We cannot say perfectly satisfied because there's no perfect translation as it is.
And what makes you both satisfied for a translation, that you both reach a consensus? Is there a criteria, something that you both, attain to, like maybe the tone or something? There's something, certain standard you both want to reach.
Each poem, I think, has a different essence. You try to find out what the poet wants to bring out in that particular poem, and you try to catch that essence. We cannot have a single rule for every poem. You cannot say the tone is for every poem, or the image is for every poem, or the symbol, or the rhythm. So it depends on the particular poem. You have to really go into the poem, try to understand it, and then you become the poet yourself and recreate, as you say. It's a recreation process. It's not just rewriting, it's recreation. You cooperate also with the poem to bring it out. Yeah. Do you agree?
Yes, that's exactly right. And I mean, there's no such thing as a perfect or final translation, really, because it's always different in some fashion. And you know, as you know yourself, just from reading a poem, you could all read the same poem and have quite different reactions to it. You know, the poem itself changes in the mind of the reader as well. So one person may love the poem, somebody else might not like it at all. You never know. But all we can do is try to ascertain as best we can the tone of the original, the attitude, the idea of it, the feelings of the writer, all of these things, and then to somehow translate those into a new language and make it work as if it had been written in the new language. That's the ideal. You know, make it seem like, oh, that could be an English poem.
I'd like to add something. You know, I'm interested in the theory of translation. I just want to mention one point. In translation, there's no equivalence. There is only approximation.
That's true.
And I think with translation is a process that you find a lot of difficulty, as well as joy. And it seems like you're decoding, and then, you know, this process is very interesting and challenging. I mean, for both of you, I believe you both have a lot of joy.
Oh, we do. Yes.
Well, sometimes people are afraid that in the process of translating, that the meaning is lost, or I would say something is lost in the translation. But then with poetry, if you go at it in a different language, something might be gained, maybe a newer interpretation. So maybe for people who translate, just say it's better to get out of that fear and worry, oh, I'm not being accurate enough.
I think that's true. Yeah. I mean, you also have to think, you know, suppose you take poems written 100 years ago or 200 years ago, are they going to affect you the same way they would readers at that time? I don't think so, you know. But it doesn't, you may still think it's a good poem, you know, but it probably affects you somewhat differently just because you're from a very different place, you know, different time.
I think we should approach the translation of, should approach the translation of poetry or literature in a more positive way. You don't think about what the original get lost. You try to give your translation, the poem, a new life in a different culture, in a new culture, in a new language. So of course, if you are changing, putting the poem into another language, another culture, this must be very different, from the original. There's no way the same, otherwise it is not a translation, it is not rebirth in another culture. So look at it in a more positive way.
Yeah.
And maybe we can read your work.
I can read the Chinese and David will read the English. Now the first one is the title poem of our book, 德式船子和尚偈，千隻絲綸即下垂，一棵菜到萬般長，夜靜水岸而不息，滿樹空醉月明歸。
1,000-foot fishing line hangs straight down. One wave moves, 10,000 follow. The night is still. the water cold, the bait untouched. The empty boat carries home a full load of moonlight.
And that's only the draft.
That's the
That's
final.
the final.
That was the
He
final.
read the final. Yeah.
Okay. I'm curious about like we talk a lot about translations. What about the Chinese tune aspect of what we're saying? I think even before you take on this project, I'm sure you must have not only knowledge in the topic, but some degree of interest in Chinese tune.
Chang. Me. Okay. Well, actually, the project came about because in more recent years I am more interested in Buddhism, and all along I've been trained and in my training, my teaching, my research, and my translations are all centered on poetry. So I wanted to do something that combined two, my interest in Buddhism and my interest in my lifelong work actually in poetry. So that's how it came about. So I think I have some knowledge, very superficial knowledge of Buddhism and Chan Buddhism.
Yeah. And David, do you share that some degree of interest in Buddhism?
Yes, very much. I'm not nearly as involved in Buddhism as Mary is, but when I was in college, I wish I could remember his name. A man had written a book about Zen Buddhism. I visited our college, and he was very famous at the time. And I was very impressed with it. So I did read some Buddhist text. I read his book about Siddhartha, and found it very interesting. But I never got deeply into it in any way.
And how do you select poems? I know you select 180 poems from 7th century to the 20th century, so it's a wide collection. And you choose poets by monarchists as well as a lay poet, like from the Tang Dynasty, like Lei Ba, Dou Fu, Gui Li. Someone, and Wang Wai, someone we think is just a poet, but not from a perspective of the Zen. Then, so how do you select them?
I read extensively anthologies of Chan poetry, and I also looked at individual works of some eminent monks, and then individual works of poets who were interested in Buddhism, or who were Buddhists actually. And I also looked at the scholarly works on the subject, so I know which poems were really very much discussed about, and so in that way I try to find out the most representative Chan poems in the whole period of his active in China. So it was quite a long research.
It's very interesting because when I'm reading the book, and then I mean, it's really a new experience reading the poem that we are so familiar with, but then you never realize they are talking about Buddhism or Zen and enlightenment, and so it really brings new experience to the reader.
We hope that you have a new experience and you can activate your mind when you are reading.
The next one.
Second one.
Yes.
冠休山居書24首之第19。古老的紅蘭玉滿葵，鹹拖醬仔到心空西。但令心似蓮花結，何必新張古木齊？古淺細香紅樹老，半風殘雪白猿啼。雖然不是桃花洞，春到桃花亦滿。
Do we want to do both drafts too?
Yes.
Okay, the first draft here is, I should say that there are usually more than just 2 drafts. There may be 5 or 15 drafts between this first one and the second and this other one. It's not a straightforward thing. So, okay, this is early draft. Morning dew on red orchids, beds of jade. Idly I saunter on wooden clogs west of the peak. If one's mind is as pure as the lotus, why worry that the body will become a dead tree? From the ancient moat, a faint scent of old redwood. White apes cry from the peak, still half covered with snow. Although this isn't the idyllic peach blossom cave, when spring comes, peach blossoms fill the brook. And our final version in this one is morning dew on red orchids, beds of jade. Idly I saunter in monk's sandals west of the peak. If one's mind is as pure as the lotus, why must the body be like a dead tree? From the ancient moat, a faint scent of old redwood. White apes cry from the peak, still half covered with snow. Although this isn't the idyllic peach blossom cave, when spring comes, peach blossoms fill the brook.